You can't control the weather. Today's pretty wet. It's going to be a little muddy working on the pad today, but I've got a few of the holes dug already. I'm going to give you a quick overview of how I'm drilling some of these holes using the Kubota and the 18-inch auger bit. So check this out. Now here's an example of one of the holes that I've dug out. It's about 2.5 feet deep. I just finished out cleaning out the bottom. I'll tamp down the bottom, and that'll be the start of where I pour my concrete, and it'll come up to the current ground level plus some. I'm not at final grade right now. I will be still bringing in some gravel and some additional crushed stone to flatten everything out, level everything off. I have all of my holes dug out around the pad, plus I have 5 holes drilled along the back side where there's going to be a lean-to off the back side of the building. After drilling them out, there's a little bit of debris around the outside edge of the hole. I've been going around and cleaning that out, just pushing it back from the edge of the hole. Here's a good example of that. Then I have a post hole digger, flat blade shovel. You could use a pointed shovel if you want. I'm using the shovel to kind of bunch up the loose stuff at the bottom of the hole, and then I'm using the post hole digger to pull it out. It's a pretty long day. It's not the easiest work, especially when you're using your arms and your legs and whatnot, but the actual digging using the equipment went pretty well. I did hit some rock in some of these edge holes on the west side of the pad. Things did not exactly go straight down, so I'm probably going to have to adjust a little bit there. But on that end, there was far more fill dirt down there. That drilled a lot easier. I also went a lot deeper because I actually wanted to get through the fill dirt and down to, I wouldn't necessarily consider it bedrock, but a harder pack of limestone. Here in mid-Missouri, we have a lot of limestone, and you can kind of see it in that pile right there. As you're digging down through, you get down through some clay and into some limestone. And the drill did a good job of getting through the limestone, but in some places it was just a little too thick. This is probably my shallowest hole. It's about a foot deep. And then on this edge here, which is the west edge of the property, the drill had a hard time going straight because the rock was so close to the surface. I think for the most part, the holes lined up okay. I think I might have one or two that are not in a good position. This one still needs to be cleaned out, but along the backside, things actually lined up pretty well. You can kind of see that the holes line up kind of in this direction, and you can see that as I go along, things get progressively deeper. This hole is in excess of 3 feet, probably pushing closer to 4 feet. You know, I just drilled as deep as I could go and made sure I hit something relatively solid. I want it to be below the frost line wherever possible, because I know that we do get some pretty cold weather here in Missouri, and if I don't get below the frost line, there's the potential for heaving. It's just one of those things, you know, take every precaution you can, whatever possible, as long as it's not going to take an exorbitant amount of time or money. As it fills up with concrete and I get closer to the surface, I can tilt my sonotube to make up for that angle and that difference, and then level everything out using the sonotube. This is where I'm at in the whole process. Next step is to get these holes cleaned up, get my string lines set back up again, square everything up again. This time I am going to be hyper focused on making sure that the string lines are as level as possible and at the grade level of where I want the concrete tubes and the forms to be. All right, so what are some lessons learned after this wet and dreary day here in mid-Missouri? First and foremost, I have no experience whatsoever driving a skid steer, and I was pleasantly surprised with how easy it was and how intuitive it was to drill these holes. Behind me on the pad, I've got 34 holes drilled, varying depths, but in every single one of the holes, I hit very solid ground. And as I'm getting ready to pour the cement, I'm pretty confident that everything is gonna set up nicely. So how much time do I have invested in this? I've got about 7 hours. I got the skid steer last night. I was able to get out here and start drilling holes. I think I got about 10 or 11 holes drilled within the first 2 to 3 hours. And then I finished up this morning. It was raining this morning, drizzling. It wasn't coming down extremely hard, but it did make everything a little muddy. And as you can see, the skid steer tore up the pad a little bit, but I was kind of planning on that, and that's why it's not at its final grade. I'm going to bring it up closer to final grade, and I'm going to be compacting, and I'm going to be putting in crushed stone, and that should compact very nicely to get me to where I need to be for where the tops of the concrete pillars are actually going to set up. Total money invested so far, I already had the tractor. I did all of the land prep by myself. I've got probably $45, $50 invested in diesel fuel for that. I came in with a mini excavator and I took out a few trees in here. That cost me roughly $250 for a day. And I did that one day. It was about $500, a little over $500 for me to get the dump trailer, the skid steer, as well as the drill for today's rental. So again, I mean, I have not spent a whole lot of money to get to where I'm at so far, but that doesn't mean that I won't be needing to spend quite a bit more money pretty soon. One of the interesting things about when I get ready to pour the cement is I actually own a mud mixer. And if you've seen a mud mixer in action, you know that they're a pretty cool little unit. You just mix the dry cement right into the top and you pump water in through. It mixes it on the way down, and then everything just kind of sets up, and it's real easy to use. I'll have my brackets at that point as well. That's it for today. I'm getting ready to wrap it up, so I'll see you next time.